The next day was spent trudging across fields in sweltering heat. Riverpaw's mouth hung open as they emerged from a field of tall, rough stalks. The sun glared down upon the 8 cats relentlessly. "Isn't there somewhere we could get out of the sunlight?" Featherfall exclaimed. Her head hung low and her cream tail dragged behind her. Riverpaw silently agreed with the Shadow Clan cat. Never had she endured such heat. In the city, buildings shadowed the ground, and there had always been ways to escape into darkness. And in the forest, she had been able to lie beneath the trees. Out in the open fields, the stalks did little to shelter the cats. "We could head toward the two-leg place," Ashhart suggested, pointing with his tail. Ahead, a collection of two-leg nests could be seen, not far beyond a thin line of trees. In every other direction, flat farmland seemed to stretch forever. The gleam of monsters told Riverpaw there was a road nearby as well. Riverpaw pricked her ears and looked up at her mentor. Maybe that's not such a good," she began. "I believe we should avoid two-leg places at all costs," Rowan Shadow said, unaware he had interrupted Riverpaw. "It's too dangerous." "But there may be shade there, and just past it, I see what may be a small forest. Besides, it'll be quicker going through there than around," Ashhart reasoned. Riverpaw stared at her mentor, as if she could telepathically communicate her discomfort. Then she realized something. Was she afraid? The brown she-cat quickly looked at her paws, gritting her teeth. That couldn't be it. There was no way she was afraid of such a small two-leg dwelling. "I'm just concerned, because it's not safe to travel so near so many nests." The she-cat lifted her head, waiting for the other cats to shoot down Ashhart's idea. To her dismay, they actually seemed to agree. Against the wrath of the sun, their differences were apparently set aside. Swallowing her unease, the ThunderClan apprentice padded after the group. They crossed the road in pairs, the wind of the monsters buffeting their fur. As they crept along the side of a large nest, Riverpaw tried to ignore her racing heart. The ground beneath her feet was cold in the shade of the building, and its texture was painfully familiar. As the 8 cats advanced, sighing in relief, Riverpaw darted toward a patch of grass not too far away, crouching on the soft substance and attempting to calm herself. "Riverpaw, stay close," Ashhart hissed. The entire group had paused to look at her, and the she-cat gulped, trying to steady her voice. "The ground hurts my paws," the she-cat meowed, and immediately felt a rush of embarrassment at the terrible excuse. "What a little princess," Featherfall scoffed. "You're holding us up. We don't like it any more than you, but this is the fastest way," Rowan Shadow added, tail flicking with annoyance. Ashhart simply stared at her for a moment, then murmured, "We'll be out of here in no time. There's a copse of trees just beyond those nests. Come on." Riverpaw steeled herself and hurried forward. It didn't take too long to get out of the two-leg place. It was a straight shot through, and the 8 cats stuck to the shadows. By the time they had reached the forest, Riverpaw's claws ached from scratching along the ground. She had tried to sheathe them, but instinct forced them out. In the shade of a tree with soft dirt beneath her paws, the brown cat began to relax. Still, she could feel a scornful gaze burning into her. Ashhart sat beside her as the others split up to hunt. "Was it the city?" "I'm fine, all right. It wasn't a big deal." Her mentor shook his head and let out a long sigh. "Very well. Then do not hold us up when we next come to a two-leg place. There are bound to be more in the days between here and the mountains, so if it's truly nothing, do not slow everyone down." Riverpaw gave a small nod, and the dappled Tom stood. "Let's hunt. We won't be stopping again until nightfall, I'm sure." The warrior was right. The moment they had all finished eating, the party continued, sticking to the trees for as long as possible. They crossed another road and began through a field again, all the while hanging their heads low, sun burning fiercely. By the time the air cooled and the cats were able to rest, they had reached a path of undergrowth, the only cover amidst a seemingly endless expanse of rolling fields. "We should be about halfway," Gingerpelt meowed. "It can't be more than a 4-day journey." "Those mountains don't look any closer," Duskfall grumbled. "Quit whining. You're making my paws ache even more," Featherfall snapped half-heartedly. The she-cat's eyelids drooped with exhaustion, and she groomed her pelt with slow, tired strokes. Riverpaw was exhausted as well, but she decided to volunteer for one of the watch positions. After her episode earlier, she wanted to prove she wasn't some sniveling kit. The warriors allowed it, and Ashhart said nothing. As the others settled down, Riverpaw took her place on the edge of their temporary camp. The night wore on, and the she-cat was forced to pace in order to keep herself awake. After what seemed an eternity, Gingerpelt touched her shoulder and relieved her of duty. Before the ThunderClan apprentice could retreat, however, the brown-marked cat meowed. "You had a vision about the mountains, correct?" "Yes, I did," Riverpaw lied. She turned to look at the RiverClan warrior, curious. "Did it give you any hints as to what we'll be facing?" "No. All I saw was my brother. I have no idea what's up there." Gingerpelt's blue eyes flickered, but she showed no signs of fear, only a hint of nervous concern in her twitching tail. "I have one more question, if you don't mind." Riverpaw flicked her ear, and the RiverClan cat meowed. "Did you want to come on this mission?" A flash of surprise rippled through Riverpaw. She opened her mouth but found herself hesitating to answer. Yes, I did. I have to save Cloud." That's the only reason, I suppose." "What are you getting at?" The apprentice meowed sharply, and Gingerpelt cocked her head. "You simply don't strike me as an adventuring sort. At least, not with what happened today. That was nothing. I won't let it happen again." The RiverClan she-cat didn't reply, and Riverpaw turned, stalking down to her place next to Ashheart. She curled into a tight ball, frustration prickling through her pulse, and closed her eyes. In moments, she was asleep. A soft wind rustled the grass as the 8 cats paused on top of a hill. Before them stretched a rather large two-leg place. Rows of nests crisscrossed the landscape, each row divided by a thunder path. Lifting their eyes beyond the obstacle, they could see a forest, a proper forest, and the base of the mountains. The clan cats looked at each other. "We have to go through," Rowan Shadow meowed. "That looks awfully messy, and rather confusing. We could get lost easily amongst those nests," Mosslegs reasoned, but Ashheart spoke up. "If we try to go around, we'll end up taking days just finding a new route. We'll keep our eyes on the mountains and use them as a marker to guide us through." "And what if Princess here freezes in the middle of a monster's path?" Featherfall sneered. Riverpaw bristled, unable to hold back as she snapped. "That won't happen. I have more experience in two-leg places than any of you. Don't treat me like a kid." The others stared at her for a moment, and Ashheart placed his tail over her shoulders. Looking into his eyes, she saw a warning. "Do not insult these cats, or you risk making this mission even harder." River lowered her head while the others discussed what to do. Finally, Wolfclaw stood. In a growling voice, the Ginger Tom meowed. "The sooner we start, the sooner we get through it." The other cats nodded, eyes set with resolve. Meanwhile, Riverpaw tried to keep her tail from lashing with nervous energy. "You're fine. You told Ashheart you could handle it. And you will. I have to prove—" "Getting scared already?" Featherfall's jeer cut into Riverpaw's thoughts, and the brown she-cat immediately stood. "I'm better than ever. Are you coming?" Fueled by pride and anger, the apprentice marched down the hill, stopping beside the thunder path. As soon as the way was clear, she charged across with Ashheart at her side. While they waited for the others, the Tom bent down and murmured, "Steeling yourself is fine, but don't become reckless. The best way to prove yourself is with patience and caution." Riverpaw nodded, however, her heart still raced with anger. The 8 cats crept into the maze of nests, ears pricked and eyes focused on the mountains ahead. They weaved their way around walls and fences, darting across the streets and through the grassy yards. All the while, Riverpaw tried to ignore the way the harsh concrete dug into her paws, keeping her eyes wide open and staring at the nests and roads around her. This place may have a similar feel, but it was nothing like the city. No buildings touched the sky, and grass was allowed to grow in patches all around. The brown cat did her best to keep pace with everyone, sticking to Ashheart's side. Whenever she could, she focused on his dappled gray pelt. He was her reminder. Every other cat was on high alert as well, and as they rounded yet another row of nests, a voice nearly made them all jump out of their fur. "Hi there!" Riverpaw whipped around along with the rest of the clan cats, confronting the one who had spoken. It was a black she-cat, her head cocked and blue eyes gleaming with curiosity. "I've never seen you all before. My name is Star. It's nice to meet you." It was obvious the she-cat meant no harm. However, the 8 cats remained poised for attack, their fur raised. Riverpaw glanced at the others. Their hostility was unmistakable, but the kitty pet didn't seem to notice at all. "So where do you come from? Are you outsiders? Do you live in the forest?" That would be totally cool if you did. I've always wanted to meet a forest cat. The clan cats were beginning to relax, slowly realizing how non-threatening the she-cat was. Are you a kitty pet? Rowan's shadow asked. Kitty pet? Kitty pet? Oh! You mean do I live with housefolk? Yes, I do. My house is just over there, across the street. She pointed with her tail to a completely unremarkable nest like every other. Riverpaw briefly wondered how she knew which one was hers. Smell? So, are you from the forest? Star asked again. She seemed excited just talking to them. Riverpaw could tell it was getting on a few of her companions' nerves, Featherfall in particular. Strangely, Riverpaw felt reassured by the stranger's attitude. Reminds me of Echopaw. Yes, our home is just beyond the hills that way, Rowan's shadow answered, pointing east. We come from the clans. Star's eyes widened immediately. Did you say clans? You're clan cats? Yes. Do you know about the clans? Gingerpelt meowed in surprise. Of course I do. My grandmother had this friend. Oh, what was his name? Raven something. He told her all about the clans. He said he used to be part of a clan. Storm Clan, I think. Thunder Clan? Ashheart put in. Yes, that was it. He told my Nan. He was on a journey to find the cats of Thunder Clan. I doubt he made it, though. She always said he was an older cat when she met him. Ashheart exchanged a glance with Riverpaw. His eyes were shining with excitement. The she-cat knew he was thinking of old stories, legends passed down in Thunder Clan. She tried hard to remember a cat with Raven in their name. Firestar's friend. Ashheart told me that Firestar had 2 great friends when he first joined the clans all those seasons ago. Ravenpaw and Greystripe. Ravenpaw. What happened to Ravenpaw? Riverpaw could not remember, but apparently he had been separated from the clan somehow, or else he wouldn't have been looking for them. So you really come from Raven something's clan? Star exclaimed, gazing in amazement at the 8 cats. No, not all of us. Only Ashheart and Riverpaw hail from Thunder Clan. The rest of us are part of different clans, Rowan Shadow meowed. There's more than one clan? That's so cool. I hail from Wind Clan, Duskfall meowed, stepping forward suddenly. Which means I have the power to blow you off your feet, my dear. Star stared at the Tom in confused silence, while the other clan cats let out a collective groan. Featherfall cleared her throat loudly. I'm sorry to interrupt this stunningly interesting conversation. And whatever that just was, the cream she-cat hissed. But we're losing time. We need to get out of this place. You're right, Gingerpelt meowed. We must be going. The clan cats turned and began to pad away. Star walked along beside Riverpaw, still babbling excitedly. So what's it like in a clan? I mean, my mom told me a lot about them, but I was only a kid, and she only knew about them through Raven somethings. I think his name was Ravenpaw, Riverpaw interrupted. Right, Ravenpaw stories. Can you tell me more? Star finished. I would love to talk to Duskfall began, but Ashheart practically pushed him aside, eyes flashing with excitement. In an instant, the ThunderClan Tom was walking beside Star and recapping the entire history of the clans. Riverpaw gratefully stepped away, and Duskfall hung his head in disappointment. The apprentice knew that this was the only time her mentor could match a cat like Star or Echopaw in enthusiasm. As the party crossed yet another road, Star interrupted Ashheart. Oh, you don't want to go that way. The other cat stopped and glanced back. Why? Featherfall snapped. That way leads deeper into town. If you're clan cats, I bet you're heading toward that forest near the mountains, right? It may look like that way is the right direction, but it'll take you in a loop. The others stared at Star for a few moments. Then what is the best way to get to the forest quickly? Gingerpelt meowed. At this, Star's eyes brightened. I can guide you. I'd love to help clan cats. Here. Without regard for the clan cat's astonishment or annoyance, the she-cat dashed to the front of the group and began leading the way. Ashheart's tail drooped, no longer able to relay his vast knowledge, and Riverpaw found herself chuckling. The party padded along with Star leading the way, tail high and completely calm as they crossed roads, jumped fences, and traveled past the many nests. A few two-legs appeared here and there, and monsters occasionally roared past, but Star barely flinched at these dangers. The sun had begun to descend when they finally stopped. The forest grew tall and thick before them, rife with the scent of prey and fresh soil. Riverpaw could feel the tension seep out of her as she gazed into the brush. The other clan cats also seemed relieved to finally put the strange two-legged maze behind them. "Is this goodbye?" Star asked suddenly. Riverpaw looked at the black she-cat to find her blue eyes wide with dismay. "Yes. The clans owe you a debt for guiding us, though," Gingerpelt meowed. Star looked a bit downcast, but lifted her head all the same. "It was really amazing to meet you all. To think, I actually met clan cats. It's too bad my mom isn't here. She would love to meet you. I hope we see each other again. I'll bring Mom." The clan cats dipped their heads, and Featherfall flicked her ears impatiently. "We're losing daylight, and I can smell the prey. Let's get a move on." "Good luck," the kitty pet called after them as they disappeared into the trees. Riverpaw glanced back at her, the black she-cat with her tail curled over her paws. As the undergrowth closed behind Riverpaw, she disappeared from sight.